Chapter 1. The Sacramento Wiretap and Gavin Newsom's Political Crisis to a Historic 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, and a monumental happy 250th anniversary to the United States of America. Indisputably, the greatest country on the face of the planet. It is fantastic to be back in the studio after a brief 3-day hiatus, and there is an absolute mountain of critical news to break down on this historic birthday. We are diving straight into massive political updates, beginning with the devastating developments out of California that threaten to permanently dismantle the future aspirations of a prominent Democratic leader. The bombshell FBI wiretap exposed disgraced California Governor Gavin Newsom is currently in an absolute state of panic, following morning reports revealing that a top political insider spent the last 2 years wearing a concealed wire for the FBI. This operative secretly recorded Newsom's private backroom discussions, funneling sensitive and potentially criminal data directly into a multi-year federal corruption probe. As these catastrophic revelations drop in real time, we are likely witnessing the definitive, unceremonious conclusion of Newsom's long-term political career and his designs on a 2028 presidential run, recontextualizing Newsom's hypocrisy. This explosive development completely exposes the defensive narrative Newsom attempted to manufacture just 3 weeks ago. At that time, the California governor publicly claimed that Donald Trump was weaponizing the Department of Justice to place him on a political hit list, solely to derail his future White House ambitions, boldly declaring he had absolutely nothing to hide. In reality, the timeline proves that this massive criminal investigation was actively authorized and executing judicial wiretaps long before, quietly originating under the Biden administration's own Department of Justice. Financial corruption in the inner circle. The depth of the corruption becomes undeniable when looking at the recent guilty pleas and active investigations surrounding Newsom's closest associates. 6 weeks ago, his former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, officially pled guilty in federal court to conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, subscribing to a false tax return, and lying to federal agents regarding the diversion of campaign funds. Concurrently, Newsom's wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, faces intense federal scrutiny over IRS filings showing millions of donor dollars flowing from her nonprofit, the Representation Project, directly into her personal salary and her for-profit entertainment company. The operative revealed. The dynamic of the entire investigation shifted radically with the unmasking of the FBI's core cooperating witness, Alexis Podesta, a veteran Sacramento Democratic power broker and Newsom appointee. Podesta allegedly agreed to wear a hidden wire as early as June 2024, as part of a strategic plea deal to protect herself after realizing the federal government had uncovered widespread systemic fraud. This revelation explains why numerous Sacramento lobbyists and political insiders were blindsided last autumn by official FBI notifications informing them that their telephonic communications had been legally intercepted, plummeting electoral prospects. The immediate political fallout from this sweeping structural scandal is vividly reflected in the betting markets, where Newsom's viability has utterly cratered. Data from major predictive platforms like Polymarket show his 2028 presidential nomination odds plunging to an all-time low of 12%, down from a dominant 25% just months prior. His standing among potential Democratic primary voters has similarly halved from nearly 39% down to 20%, proving that his national aspirations are rapidly evaporating as the public monitors the real-time implosion of his inner circle. Chapter 2. Trump's proclamation on the anniversary of the Republic, confronting the anti-American narrative. As the citizenry gathers to celebrate a quarter millennium of American independence, a vocal contingent of far-left political figures are deliberately using the milestone to attack the foundational history of the nation. Most notably, New York City political figures like Zoran Mamdani released public statements accusing the United States of systemic inequality and structural oppression. This cynical rhetoric drew immediate fire from industrial leaders like Elon Musk, who accurately called out these radical commentators as perpetual takers who have never built, manufactured, or contributed anything of tangible value to the Republic. Trump's address on the communist menace. In a powerful morning address, Donald Trump delivered a searing rhetorical takedown targeting these subversives, characterizing modern radical leftism as a direct, mortal threat to American liberty. Trump noted that a generation after triumphing in the Cold War, the nation faces an insidious resurgence of Marxist ideology championed by individuals fundamentally opposed to the American way of life. He emphasized that this ideological struggle transcends basic political disagreements over taxation or governance, representing an existential menace far greater than the historical challenges of global warfare or foreign attacks. The historical reality of Marxism. Trump's speech forcefully contrasted the exceptionalism of the American founding with the grim, blood-soaked historical reality of global communism, which has systematically resulted in over 100 million deaths across the last century. He declared that the radical ideologies pushed by modern Democrats are the absolute antithesis of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, operating instead on a baseline of mass theft, total state control, and the erosion of God-given rights. The address served as a stark reminder that true patriotism and allegiance to Marxist doctrines are fundamentally irreconcilable positions, honoring the sacrifices of the ancestors. The core of the American identity was forged through nearly insurmountable odds by pioneering ancestors who carved a proud, functional civilization directly out of a brutal and untamed wilderness. These early generations successfully defended their emerging communities against constant threats, while simultaneously defeating the global dominance of the British Empire to secure a providential miracle. Our ancestral heritage is explicitly anchored in the timeless tenets of Christian ethics, Roman law, and classical Greek philosophy, creating a structural bedrock designed specifically to endure across centuries. The true purpose of posterity. As beautifully articulated in the preamble to the United States Constitution, the founders undertook these immense hardships and made profound personal sacrifices to secure the blessings of liberty for their explicit posterity. This foundational truth dictates that the United States is not a mere abstract idea, a rootless piece of paper, or an open economic zone meant to be plundered by global forces. It is, first and foremost, the definitive homeland of the American people, a distinct population bound together by a shared history, a common culture, and an enduring matrix of core values. Linguistic manipulation tactics. A defining characteristic of the modern radical left is the calculated manipulation of vocabulary and the constant shifting of political labels to obscure their true intent. Rather than openly embracing the communist label, these operatives camouflage themselves under titles like the Socialist Democrats of America to deceive the public and aggregate institutional power. This is the exact same deceptive playbook that attempts to alter fundamental biological definitions or rewrite economic parameters, such as unilaterally changing the definition of a recession to hide poor policy performance, tactics that the American electorate completely rejects. Chapter 3. Vance's Critique, Demographic Shifts, and Broadcast Wrap-Up. J.D. Vance blasts leftist cynicism. Vice President J.D. Vance forcefully joined the cultural conversation this morning, delivering a blistering critique of the Democratic Party's ongoing refusal to honor the nation's exceptional achievements. Vance called on the public to completely reject the narrow, zero-sum perspective peddled by a small but loud minority who obsess exclusively over historical flaws while ignoring the systemic grace and greatness of the culture. He reminded the audience that the American story was built collectively by everyday heroes, from visionary industrial designers to blue-collar steel welders, who worked together to construct the premier civilization in human history. Analyzing the assimilation crisis. A deeper look at the underlying data from recent electoral cycles reveals an alarming demographic divide that directly correlates with these divergent views on patriotism. Statistical breakdowns show that a disproportionate percentage of the progressive voting base is composed of recent immigrant generations who, unlike historical waves, are largely rejecting cultural assimilation. While certain individual instances of successful integration exist, large-scale immigration from culturally incompatible regions has strained the social fabric, resulting in a demographic cohort that relies heavily on state welfare systems while remaining fundamentally disconnected from our national identity. Public sentiment and the polarization gap. The stark reality of this ideological rift is thoroughly corroborated by recent polling data broadcasted on networks like CNN, which highlights a massive generational shift in basic patriotism. When questioned about the true significance of the 4th of July, 65% of Republicans prioritize celebrating the nation, while a plurality of Democrats view it merely as generic time off. Even more shocking is the collapse of national pride among progressives. Data shows that while Republican pride and willingness to display the American flag remain steady near 90%, Democratic flag display has plummeted to 27%, with a staggering 71% openly admitting they are not proud to be American. Behind the scenes in Washington, D.C. Transitioning from national policy to behind-the-scenes updates, I want to share details regarding my recent trip to Washington, D.C., which caused my brief absence from the airwaves. I attended an exclusive event at the State Department, marking the official release of the special 250th anniversary Donald Trump edition American Passport. This sleek, commemorative document features a striking portrait of Trump on the inside cover and is available to citizens via a specialized application process at the Capitol Agency, serving as a unique memento of this historic milestone for the Republic, connecting with fellow creators and addressing the community. Though Donald Trump was unable to attend the State Department gathering in person, the trip offered an excellent opportunity to connect with prominent conservative figures and digital creators. I had the privilege of meeting Senator Marco Rubio, veteran commentator Glenn Beck, and political analyst Peter Branca, alongside spending quality time collaborating with Jeremy and the entire team from Geeks and Gamers. Interacting with these patriots was incredibly energizing, and I remain committed to the promise that once our channel achieves the major milestone of 1 million subscribers, I will officially open the doors to regular podcast and video collaborations with these creators. Concluding thoughts and Independence Day wishes. In closing out this broadcast, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the viewers for their immense generosity through Super Chats and Rumble Rants, including unique contributions honoring the spirit of 1776. As we move forward into the remainder of this historic year, there is profound reason for optimism. The country is systematically returning to its foundational tracks and gaining significant momentum every single month. Please enjoy the evening parades and fireworks with your loved ones. Remain safe on the roads, keep all your fingers intact, and continue to stand firm as we put America first.